Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayad Mudirahe. Nasta Prahesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10. The chapter is titled The Opulence of the Absolute. Verse number is 9. Machchitamaggatah prana bodhayantah parasparam kathantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Machchitamaggatah prana bodhayantas parasparam kathayantischa mam nitya tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Machchitamaggatah prana bodhayantas parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Anybody else would like to chant? Prabhuji.
Machchittamadgata prana bodhayantaha parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha.
Kashchitamadgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayanta cha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha.
Good.
Machchittamadgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha.
Synonyms. Machchita, their minds fully engaged in me. Madgata pranaha, their lives devoted to me. Bodhayanta, preaching. Parasparam, among themselves. Kathayantaha, talking. Cha, also. Mam, about me. Nityam, perpetually. Tushyanti, become pleased. Cha, also. Ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss. Cha, also. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Pure devotees, whose characteristics are mentioned here, engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing Him with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe. And out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get their chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky, also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits. And the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 19. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord. Just as a fish cannot live without water, in such a state the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees, as stated in the Bhagavatam itself, 12th canto, 13th chapter, 18th verse. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures. Just as a young boy and girl takes pleasures, just like a young boy and girl takes pleasure in association. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Srijita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaha Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Madchita Madgata Pranaha, Bodhayantas Parasparam, Kathayantas Chamam, Nityam, Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted in my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. This is a wonderful section of the verses of Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, from verse number 8 to verse number 11 is Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, which is right there in the center of Bhagavad Gita. The center, we just finished the most confidential knowledge, where it ended with Manmana Bhava Mat Bhakta Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. And now Lord Krishna is explaining about his opulences, Vibhuti Yoga. And we see right in this Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, he gives the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Right. He gives the entire essence of Bhagavad Gita right in these 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita. In the first verse, he starts off describing his complete opulence, that he is the source of all material and spiritual world. Aham sarvasya prabhav mata sarvam pravartate matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. He is the source of all the material and spiritual worlds. And knowing the opulences of the Supreme Lord, his pure devotees fully take shelter of his lotus feet. And they take pleasure in always thinking about him, in discussing his pastimes, in conversing about him, chanting his name. Right? They take pleasure. And then in the next 2 verses, he will describe that how he reciprocates with his pure devotees. In that way, he gives the entire essence of Bhagavad Gita right in these 4 verses. Now, in this verse specifically, it talks about how his pure devotees now they take shelter of the Supreme Lord, and how they are feeling so much transcendental bliss. Just like a lover when he meets his beloved, right? He cannot live without a moment. Without a moment, he always thinks about the beloved, and he cannot live without a moment of his beloved. Similarly, the pure devotee of the Lord, he is completely in love with the Supreme Lord. Cannot live without a single moment without the Supreme Lord. It's like just like a fish out of water. It cannot live. It starts trembling, trying to go back into that situation. That I want to be in the water, otherwise it cannot live. Similarly, a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord is completely has taken shelter the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That whenever they meet somebody, also they start just conversing about the Supreme Lord, and 24 hours, 24 hours, they are fully surrendered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Satatam Kirtan Tamam, right? Few verses back, in 9th chapter, this verse was there. Satasam Kirtantas Mam, Yatantascha Rizavta, Namasyantascha Mam Bhakta, Nityukta Vasate. Right. So they don't do like, okay, no, it's half an hour here, 1 hour here, this, that. 24 hours. 24 hours. They chant the holy name of the Lord and discuss his pastimes, no, preach the gospel of his instructions to others, and always converse with each other about the devotional phenomenon, so about his wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord, the qualities of the Supreme Lord. And as a result of their full absorption in Krishna consciousness, right, as a result of the full absorption in Krishna consciousness, it's mentioned the purport where they get the same qualities as the Supreme Lord. Same qualities as the Supreme Lord. Right. The qualities of the Supreme Lord kind of shine now through them because they're completely attached to the Supreme Lord. Just like yesterday we were celebrating the appearance of this saintly personality, Narottam Das Thakur, now completely absorbed in pure love Godhead of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that when he appeared, right, uh, before his appearance, Gauranga Mahaprabhu had taken uh, uh, bath in Padma River, and by taking bath in Padma River, he had infused his love in the waters of that Padma River. That okay, here now my pure devotee will be born soon. And we see Narottam Das Thakur born near that, and when he takes bath in the Padma River, that love which was infused by Mahaprabhu enters into him, right? And though he was born blackish complexion, he becomes in golden complexion, and all the qualities Mahaprabhu starts exhibiting. Pure love of Godhead, right? Then Sri Prabhupada in the purport mentions about that in the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself, right? The transcendental pleasure is relished by serving the Supreme Lord himself in the preliminary stage. Adau Shraddha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya, right? Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya. They relish, they've gone performing devotional service. And they get a transcendental pleasure in performing the service itself. But in the mature state, they are situated in the love of God. Just like we were discussing, I was mentioning before about how that love of God, they are always hankering for the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And then this stage is mentioned of how after Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai, Bhakti Lata Bija. After wandering through so many material universe, one person who gets the mercy of Kono Bhagyavan, a very fortunate soul, he gets the mercy of Guru and Krishna, that the seed of devotional service is sown in his heart. Right? That seed is sown, and just as the seed is continuously watered, right? That seed which is sown of bhakti in the heart of a devotee is watered by performance of devotional service, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. And by that continuous watering, slowly that seed fructifies into a creeper, and then ultimately that creeper becomes a tree, and then It penetrates through the covering of the material universe, enters uh, the Brahma Jyoti, the external effulgence of the Supreme Lord, even penetrates to the external effulgence of the Supreme Lord and enters the highest abode, Goloka Vrindavan, where it takes shelter. Where it takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. It does not become one with the Supreme Lord, but it takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Right? So that's the process of gradual nurturing of devotional service to the level where it continuously uh, takes full shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and is completely situated in love of God, where means, uh, pure devotional service. Right. Okay. Are there any discussions, questions? Very, such a wonderful words. You can have more releasement. And I mean, Srila Prabhupada made one additional point about how this Amala Puran, the topmost Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, is filled with such pastimes of the devotees who are fully absorbed. We see the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, the Dhruva Stuti, we see the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Stuti, we see the pastime of Bhishma Pitamaha, Bhishma Stuti, Mother Kunti, glorifying with her prayers, prayers of Mother Kunti, uh, uh, the Pachetas, and you see, it's Pitu Maharaj, and and ultimately, it's so many, it's Lord Brahma, glorification of the Supreme Lord by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva is glorifying the Supreme Lord, and there's discussion about Vidura Maharaj and Maitreya Muni. So there are unlimited pastimes which are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam of the relationship between a devotee and the Supreme Lord, and how a devotee takes full shelter of the Supreme Lord. So that's beyond the conception of uh, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which is on the material platform. Religiosity, economic development, kama, and moksha, liberation, and let's say are on the material platform. While devotional service through Srimad Bhagavatam, reading about Srimad Bhagavatam, relishing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord is way beyond this conception, where there is no, it takes a devotee way beyond dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, all the way to the spiritual abode. Yeah, that's another point of the importance of conversing about the Supreme Lord uh, through Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, and we are fortunate that all of you are taking this wonderful opportunity to Kathantastamam Yukta Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha, continuously aspiring to discuss these pastimes in the morning and the evening from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, which Srila Prabhupada wanted all his disciples and grand disciples and all the members of his movement continuously take part in that particular service. Okay. Hari Hari. Nobody has any questions. Hari Hari. Discussions, additions, realizations. Hmm. Haripal. Is everybody on?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for wonderful class as usual. Morning time, Amritananda Prabhuji was saying he has follow-up question in the evening. So Prabhuji, you go ahead, then everybody will start speaking.
No, since you started, let's hear from you what question you had, and then Amritananda is just waiting for that opportune moment that he will start.
I just want your blessing, Prabhuji. Next Wednesday, I'm going to India.
Okay.
Early morning, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
No, Prabhuji, I just want blessing from you.
Okay. Okay. Satatam kirtan tamam. Wherever you go, whether here or there, always be absorbed in the service of the Supreme Lord.
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And Mataji said blessings, na Prabhu? Asking for blessing. I remember your Guru Maharaj Jayadvaita Swami. Many years back in Bhakti Vriksha, a Maharaj had come and somebody asked, I forget who, some devotee, "Oh Maharaj, please give me your blessing." So Maharaj was carrying that orange color cloth bag. So Maharaj puts his hand inside the bag and removes and starts showering him. "Here, take all blessings." And I thought it was very witty because Maharaj is very witty. And I didn't understand the significance. And many recent, maybe last year or something, Amarendra Prabhu spoke about blessings and what is blessing actually. So he says that when we ask for blessings, rather than it being general, ask for a specific blessing. So, like for example, Mataji is now going to India. Please bless my journey. Please bless that when I'm in India, I can continue my sadhana, and so something like very specific. So that's what Amarendra Prabhu was giving the blessings. So he says then that's where the actual effect, because generally, of course, you can ask blessings, please bless me. But when you make it specific, then it is more effective, if I can use that word. So yes, that was when Mataji was saying, please give me a blessing, that immediately Maharaj's pastime came to mind.
Yeah.
And like what Mataji was saying is in the morning, it's off topic. We were talking about separation of church and state. And, in our own influence, what you can do. And you explained, invite somebody, talk to somebody, whatever, to the extent that you could do. Nothing would stop you from doing that because you're not the government. So my question was more from a book distribution perspective, Prabhu. I've been thinking what can we do to distribute more books? So then I was thinking there are many of our companies that have and quite successful of different sizes with the Indian management or an Indian owner. So now usually during Diwali, people will give the employees some gift, and it's very prevalent in India. They give either some small vessel or something like Diwali, along with the bonus and whatever else it is. So I was thinking that if we give the Bhagavad Gita as a Diwali gift from the company to all the employees. So a small company with 10, 15 people or a big company with 100, 500,000, whatever, be that size. So that many books can go. Then what I was thinking is, Prabhu, is an organization not necessarily would have only Indians, an Indian company. They would also have Americans and people of different faith and all that. So I was trying to figure out how then that same thing of separation of church and faith, because if the CEO wants to distribute these books, then he'll have to think that, oh, maybe I'll also have to put a Bible, maybe a Quran, maybe a Talmud, whatever, all these different books. And then my mind came down to maybe non-sectarian, so to say, books, Perfect Question, Perfect Answers, Science of Self-Realization, these small books which we can do. So I was trying to meditate like how this channel can work of Diwali gift or Christmas gift or something, where we could distribute more books.
Depending upon the company, there are private companies, they can do things. So depending upon the company, just like we have this Motel Gita.
Yeah.
In each and every room. So no, it's not necessarily that the motel owner is bound like the separation of the church and the state, that will have to follow that. No, it's okay. In each and every room he has a Bible. It's sponsored by some church. So similarly, in each and every room, you may have a Bhagavad Gita. Fine. Nobody can stop him not having that. Or that matter Quran, or whatever he wants to keep in the room. That is choice for the customer. Sometimes here things, Fifth Amendment is that there are places where you can distribute. Nobody can stop you. There are places where it specifically says no solicitation. You take permission to distribute books. So, from that aspect, it needs to be looked at. In India, you can easily go to a company, ask them to distribute. I remember from 96 to 2000 when I was in India, I was with from Merck doing technology transfer there with a local company, and I would take Bhagavad Gita during a December marathon, because the entire temple is on book distribution fire. So what to do? I will also take Bhagavad Gita with me, and I will give it at the reception itself. At the entrance, and at the entrance itself, the security would take care of distribution. When I'm ready to go back, you would have distributed it. Right. And there are companies, Mahindra and Mahindra, so many devotees from Radha Gopinath go there for distribution, and there are other companies. Mafatlal, I'm sure there are companies where book distribution goes on. So in India, it's much more simple. Here also, it's just like Modi, President, Prime Minister Modi mentioning that, okay, whenever he goes for a state visit, normally for a state visit, there is an exchange of gift. So what better gift I can take than Bhagavad Gita? So he will take Bhagavad Gita and he will give that as a gift. Whether he has gone to Japan or he has gone to other places, he has given Bhagavad Gita as a gift. Right. Now, the Muslim, they would say, oh, no, why you not taken Quran? No, it's just choice. He wants to take Bhagavad Gita and give it as a gift in Hindustan. No, it's okay. No, we'll take that. Right. So that's how I would kind of address it that way. And we have to try different avenues. But apart from that, no, there are many more avenues. Like this entire ISKCON Silicon Valley has this corporate branch of corporate distribution. So I'm sure there are permissions, there are certain things required in that. But it's doable.
Thanks. Prabhu, so when we're talking about this verse, Bhakti Lata Bij,
yeah,
that is consciousness. I mean, the creeper is this for
creeper.
So that is our consciousness.
Yeah, it is our consciousness, more spiritual consciousness, because it's a devotional creeper, right? So it's not just consciousness, spiritual consciousness. Where the spiritual consciousness gets nourished more and grows more by performance of devotional service. And then from the shade, it becomes a creeper, and then it becomes a tree, and then it grows on all the way, penetrating. So that's why sometimes we see that, okay, that the pure devotee, when he chants, whoever comes in contact with the vibrations coming from the lips of a pure devotee, it's such a magical effect. It goes right, penetrates right to the heart of a devotee. And if somebody who is able to accept it, immediately it gets transformed. Yeah. So,
thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, if I may, Hare Bol Prabhu, if I may ask a follow-up question on his question. So just as the person who sells meat or procures meat and anything, incurs sin, right?
Yes.
So let's say when we go book distribution, and especially for books like the Bhagavad Gita or, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc., or at least let's say Bhagavad Gita, because I know it's one book. And the person whom you either give it to, sell it to, anything, and if he is disrespectful to the book, does the person giving also incur sin, or any kind of adverse reaction?
Yeah, that's a good question. He does not incur sin. In fact, he's trying to distribute the instructions, which, Nachatasman Manusha Chapriya, one who distributes my instruction is the most dear to me. The Lord himself says that. So if somebody does not take it, no, he does not incur sin.
Okay. So the person who's giving it has nothing happens, because sometimes people they may take it with good intentions or whatever, and then they, either throw it, it's of no use or whatever.
No, still, he does not get any reactions to that. And even a pure devotee does not worry about the reactions. Just like we have these 10 offenses against the holy name, right? One of the offense is one who is in the material consciousness to give him the holy name is also an offense. But a devotee does not mind committing that offense.
Okay.
for the deliverance of that novel. He is so compassionate, Dayam, uh, that he does not mind committing that offense to even uh, go and give the holy name to even materialist. Just like Nityananda Prabhu did not mind even shaking up Madhai, who was completely drunkards. Jagan and Madhai were complete drunkards, debauchees. Right. But he didn't mind going there. Though he would get harassed by them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Madhaj.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Just again about the blessings. So, I remember one thing in Tuako temple, Jayadhat Maharaj was chanting, close the door, and he was chanting. So I went there, I knocked the door. First time he did not open. He was chanting more loudly. Then I knock again. He did not open. Third time again I knock, he was open the door. So I bow down to Maharaj. Then Maharaj, when I get up, then I asked Maharaj, pray to Maharaj, Maharaj, please give me the blessings. And Maharaj was asking me, this is the goods available in the market that I can give and to give to you. That was, I remember that scenario.
Yeah. Now, in addition to that, I would also like to add on this blessings thing. Now, when we ask for blessings, as devotees, when we ask for blessings, we should be very well prepared to take the blessings.
Correct.
Right. If we are not prepared to take the blessings, oh, Prabhuji, so Maharaj, please give me blessings. Oh, I bless you that you give up your family life and you completely take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Oh, no, Maharaj, no. Right. So, one should be very careful about, from that perspective. So, this question about specific blessings. Give me the blessings that I always be situated in serving the Vaishnavas. Like that we can ask, but just general, just give me blessings. But then if he gives blessings, give me your son so that he can travel with me. Right? We should be,
very specific, yeah.
Very, very careful about blessings might come even in form of chastisement.
Yeah.
Right. Blessings might come in even in form of chastisement. And that chastisement also, now one should see the mercy of the sanctified devotee.
Yeah. What Nityananda Prabhu threw the rice to Advaita, that is the blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he kicked Raghunath Das Goswami.
Yeah.
Also Shivananda Sen.
Yeah.
Nityananda Prabhu. Shivananda Sen was in jubilation after really get a kick from Nityananda Prabhu.
Yeah.
It's yep.
And I asked my Guru Maharaj actually in Gitanagari. I took a Guru Maharaj in Gitanagari actually. So, so at that time, okay, in the room, Guru Maharaj, I bowed down and I asked Guru Maharaj, please bless me. So Guru Maharaj mentioned that, is it easy to bless? Yeah. Is it easy to bless? Is it easy things to bless? That Guru Maharaj taught me. Yeah.
Yeah, instead we should, when we find near Vaishnavas, we should ask, can I serve you in any way? How can I serve you?
Yes, that is the one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
The other pastimes of Narottam Das Thakur, since you mentioned about it is so ecstatic that to hear that when the Narottam Das Thakur just left the body, then devotees took the body and brought it to the Jagannath Puri, and they brought it to the ocean, and there, as soon as they tried to wash and dip in the water, immediately the body became like a milk. The entire body is dissolved in the water. Entire body.
Was that Puri or was that Genji's?
I think in my Guru Maharaj, one of the book, it was in the Puri. That's where the devotees took that water and then that is called Samadhi Kutir. They made alongside with Haridas Thakur on the ocean side. Yeah, I mean, I'll confirm, but that's what is I kind of understood.
But then there was also that pastime where they had given him the samadhi, and then something had happened where they again pleaded him to come back, and he came back.
Yeah.
He came back from the samadhi.
Yeah.
And then something had to be taken or something was there where then he addressed that entire thing and then was ready to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, these three personalities, Shyamananda Pandit, Srinivasa Acharya, and Narottam Das Thakur, they were the first book distributors.
Yeah.
We were mentioning on the other day, right, how Narottam Das Thakur started from Vrindavan, and there's a Lokanath Goswami was insisting. It was so wonderful, it's so wonderful that to hear those pastimes started. These three devotees were mentioned that they were close associates of Srimati Radharani as Manjaris. And they came down for this purpose.
Yeah.
They came down for this purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are so fortunate to have all this songbook, this wonderful bhajans, the Prathana book, and written by Narottam Das Thakur. Complete the Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karamore. So many other bhajans. Thakur.
I'm a Bhakti Chandrika.
Yeah. So many wonderful
Mm. Yes. That shows us, this was like 500 years, 400 years back. Where, how the potency of devotional service, and even 500 years back, even 100 years back, or like we see the lifetime of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, we see the lifetime of our Srila Prabhupada, we see the lifetime of disciples of Prabhupada, how pure devotional service just sustains them.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many obstacles, they just continue on spreading the glories of the holy name. Because they're completely absorbed. 24 hours, Satatam Kirtan Tamam. Guru Maharaj comes and he's staying with me, and I cannot see from morning to evening. It's okay, he wakes up early and he's chanting. Then at specific time comes where, okay, now is the time to take bath. So that time also is hearing some bhajans, is hearing the lecture. Take a quick bath and then, okay, ready for service for Krishna Balaram. And then while serving also, reciting the verses of every day, for all the verses from a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Then breakfast time, okay, during that time also, let me hear some lecture. That way we see that how they're continuously engaged in 24 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one question actually. I'm how can I have the Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatma? How can I have it? How can I get it?
Mahatmya.
Mm-hmm.
Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya. Is that available in the form of book?
Yeah, it's in the form of a book. But Vrindavan has it. I saw once. But we don't have, BBT doesn't publish. We don't have that. Yeah, there is a book, Bhagavad Mahatmya.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where actually the story of the Dunduli and the Gokarna and
Yes, Dundali.
yeah,
Yes, Prabhu.
and this Bhakti and two sons of what is called
Gyan and Vairagya.
Jnana and Vairagya, yes, two sons of Bhakti, and it's all beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. So in Vrindavan, Loi Bazaar, there is this shop, Ras Bihari Lal. He will keep all these books.
Yeah.
He's right across Gangotri. You can that other book probably you can call him and he can mail it to you.
Ras Bihari.
Ras Bihari Lal.
No.
That's the shop's name. The owner's name is Alok. Alok Agarwal.
Earlier, there was a Gaudiya, they published a website and it contains all the books. That was, what was that site called? I forgot that. Everything was there.
Yeah, I think even Ras Bihari Lal may be having a.
What was that? I forgot. Yeah, it had all, books like Bhagavad Mahatmya, Gita Mahatmya, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's, tons of books. And then later they disconnected that. I was when I was in the office, I was going through all this website and reading. It was so nice. But
that is not available, Prabhu, now?
no, not available now. It was years back. Maybe they must have stopped in 5 years back or something. All Gaudiya, there's all the books were there in this form. Even our the books from the Paranada Prabhu. What is the name of that Prabhuji? Translated all the Sanskrit books to English.
Sarvabhauma.
No, another Prabhuji from Andan, I think.
Kushakrat.
Mm,
Prabhu.
yeah, they were there. And
Banu Maharaj.
Banu Maharaj, then Prana.
Puna Pragya Prabhu.
Puna Pragya Prabhu.
Yeah, so many books. Yeah, they now disconnected. I think they couldn't manage or maintain those sites. If you search for it, you may find some portion of it in the website, Prabhuji, the Google or somewhere. Just try.
If you find Prabhuji, can you please send me that information?
Sure, I will. Okay, so we will.
Okay.
The website is rasbiharilal.com.
Oh, is that? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Just browsing there.
Lastbihalila.com. Serving you since 1978. Yes. That's what I was looking for also. Very good. And you can basically look at that and online itself order it.
Okay.